Thanks for tuning into the TSG Multimedia video podcast for September 1st. This is John Abaticola sitting with
Dan Cortopassi,
as always, and we're looking at
this is a Walters HO scale Amtrak Horizon car coach. These are actually have become kind of hard to find these days because I think they've been out of production for a while. But anyway, I found this one on eBay not too long ago.
Another eBay deal, huh?
Yeah, and it's pretty much completely stock. So these are pretty nice cars, but as you can see, this one comes with the really old, ancient style coupler that I want to get rid of because I use Katie's, and these things are just not very good.
It looks like it would come apart.
Yeah, these are terrible couplers. They really... no one should use these. In fact, I think the other end is completely broken off.
Oh, that makes it better, huh?
Yeah, it came that way out of the box, but otherwise the car had no damage when I got it. So I wasn't too worried about that since I was going to change the coupler anyway.
No negative feedback, right?
No,
for the eBay seller?
No, it was cool. It was fine with that.
All right.
All right, so I'm going to start by removing this cover here that covers the bottom of the coupler box. And this really should be a very straightforward swap here, but there was one little hitch. I have another of these cars and I ran into a little issue, so I wanted to show how I solved it. This may also apply to other Walters passenger cars that use a similar arrangement. As you can see, the coupler just fell out. So the screws. No, I guess this one isn't magnetic. Okay.
You know how you usually save stuff and then you'll put a bunch together and sell it on eBay? What about these couplers? Can you sell those?
No, those go in the garbage. I don't save those. I would be doing the model railroading community a disservice if I was to try to sell those things.
Yeah, but maybe someone wants...
I don't care. They shouldn't be using them.
For some reason.
Don't use those couplers. They're bad.
How do you really feel about this? So I'm trying to get to the root of the issue here. Dan actually really likes them, but he's just a very good actor.
The issue I found is, now if you were using a whisker type coupler, this is the wrong kind of coupler for this car, but this is a shelf kind of coupler for a tank car. But anyway, if you're using a whisker coupler that doesn't need a spring, this probably wouldn't be any issue at all. You could just plop it in. However, I've got a lot of the older style ones that do have the spring. And the issue that I found is when you put this little spring in here and then you put the cover back on, it actually crushes part of the spring, and then the spring doesn't work. And what that means is that the spring is what keeps the coupler centered, keeps it coming back to the middle, and it won't work if it's crushed. So the answer to that is just make a little modification. The problem is right here on this back piece. It's just a little too tall. So the easy and quick thing to do is I'm going to take my Dremel and just grind it down a little bit. Okay, that should hopefully be enough. That won't affect the operation of the spring at all. It's just to give it a little bit of clearance. Yeah, I think that I'm not feeling it now when I run my hand over it. So I'll just put the coupler in.
There you go, you're testing it, huh?
Yeah, we'll really know when I put the screws in.
Wow.
Yeah, that should work fine. See, it comes back and it still swivels. This design allows the coupler to swing quite a bit so that if you have sharp curves, the car will still go around it. But yeah, you want that spring action to work properly. Otherwise, you have, the couplers just. What'll happen is they won't be in alignment, and you'll have to either manually align them, or when you try to couple the cars together, they'll just bang together. They won't actually couple.
Wow. Well, that was a pretty simple, straightforward fix.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what's this we're looking at here?
This is Burlington Northern's GP38-2B, number 2601. And this is a model I've been working on for a while. If you've been following our page on Facebook, you may have seen I've posted pictures of this as a work in progress a couple of times, and obviously it's still a work in progress, but it's a little closer. Maybe by the time this podcast comes out, it'll even be done.
Yeah, just for those, in case you're wondering, we tend to film our podcasts in bunches, and we kind of keep them in the can, if you will, until it's time for them to be published. So this news on this unit may be a couple months old by the time you see it, but that's fine.
Yeah.
It's still interesting. So
yeah, I thought this one was interesting enough that I'd like to show it anyway, just as a little quickie, kind of show and tell with some of the projects I'm working on here. So I'm putting Canon fans on the top. I've got a lot of aftermarket parts, and I made custom handrails for it because the handrails that came with the Proto were designed for a unit with a cab, and this unit has no cab, so I needed to make...
Had to go all the way across.
All the way across, yeah. So these are precision scale brass stanchions and just some Detail Associates brass wire that I soldered together, and I made one for each side. This engine is the first time I've tried using Archer decals for surface details. I've got some of the, it has some louvers here, and then also the diamond plate on the walkway because of the...
that's a decal?
Yeah, that's a decal. It's a decal that's like got some, I don't know what they put on it. It's like resin or something, so it actually has a texture.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, because there is diamond plate back here that was molded on at the factory, but because I had to do so much modification up here, I ended up sanding most of it off because I had to fill in the holes where the cab was. So I needed to replace it with something, and after evaluating several ideas, I thought that the decals are probably the simplest thing to do. So what I did was I gave the whole engine a light coat of primer, and then gave it a coat of clear gloss, just like you would if it was finished, and then use that, as a base to put the decals on. And the primer also let me see some areas where I needed to do some additional putty work, like up here. There was a little low spot. So hopefully after 2 rounds of puttying now, hopefully the next time when I prime it again, for this time to get it ready for paint, it hopefully will not have any more seams. There was a lot of cutting and filing on this unit. This is the Proto 2000 shell starts about here and goes back, and then there's a little band here in the middle that's basically just built up out of styrene.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and then this front piece is actually the radiator section of an Atlas GP7. So much modified. I'm pretty sure that BN did exactly what I did, or I did what they did, probably a more appropriate way of saying it. But took the part of the GP7, they took the grills out, and rearranged the doors a little bit, and did a bunch of stuff to it. But anyway, this is a unique locomotive on the BN. There was only one like this, and I think it's still running on the BNSF. I think they actually converted it into a remote control unit, so that...
Oh, that's kind of neat. It'd be neat to see it, huh?
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it. I'm actually building this one as a companion locomotive to one of the locomotives I'm going to be working on in our diesel detailing video series. I'm doing a Burlington Northern SDP-40, and I didn't have any other BN engines, so I decided to make some BN engines to go with it so we can run them together. So I'm trying to get this one done. This one's pretty close now. And I also have this one. This is another Proto 2000 GP38-2. This is going to be Burlington Northern number 2304, which is an ex-Frisco unit. And this one it's not quite as far along. This is kind of just nothing's really, well, the nose isn't really attached yet. I like to leave that off until after I paint it on units like this. But it's got a Canon nose, Canon cab, Canon sub bass. This is Canon piece, Canon fans. I've got some aftermarket, these are Detail West air reservoirs. And I also, on the nose, I did a modification for the Frisco style gyrolite. I picked this unit because it still had its gyrolite in the nose BN, took a lot of them out. But this particular one, at least in the time frame that I'm interested in, which is like the early 90s, still had its light, and it also had ditch lights. So thought that was kind of interesting. So I'll have a couple BN GP38-2s to run with my SDP40 when I'm done.
All right, so thanks for watching, and be sure to check out our video podcast next month. And we also have our audio podcasts every 15th of the month. And thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks.